There's a lot more than convenience behind using paper money to make purchases. How are you guys doing today? My name is Apple, and today we are filling in the financial gap between schools and the real world. And today what we're talking about is the pros and cons of using cash to make purchases. So when it comes to making your next purchase, whether it's a washing machine, a smartphone, or just your groceries for the week, there's a lot of different options that you have when it comes to buying stuff. You could use a credit card, you could use a debit card, you could pay with a check, you could pay with cash, you could pay with an app. There are so many options today when it comes for paying for the stuff that we use. So I figure I would make some videos talking about the pros and cons of each of these ways of paying for stuff that a lot of times go unnoticed, and I think there is a lot of valuable stuff behind what decision you make when it comes to how to pay for something that a lot of people aren't necessarily thinking about in the front of their mind every time they make a purchase. So that is what these next couple videos are all gonna be about. So let's just hop into the pros and cons of using cash to make your purchases. All right, so here we have the pros of using cash. So the first pro is that it is always accepted. You can go anywhere and spend cash. There's no place that is going to turn you away because they don't accept cash. That is just the general, that is the standard way to pay people. So there's no place that's gonna say, oh, we don't have a cash register here, so we can't take your cash. No, that's not a thing. There are places that won't take your credit cards, but there are not places that will not take cash. Additionally, cash, US dollars, can also be used in a lot of foreign countries. So that is another convenient thing with cash, is that you can take it globally and you can really pay anywhere you want with cash. No one's gonna turn you away with cash. Second pro is that there is an emotional connection when you pay with cash. So when you pay with plastic, there is a lot less of an emotional connection. You don't actually feel like you're spending money when you just hand somebody a card, they swipe it, and they hand it back to you. Because you handed them something, they handed it back to you, and you get your groceries or your washing machine or whatever. So it doesn't feel like there was an exchange there. It feels like you just got something and you didn't have to give anything. Whereas with cash, you hand somebody a $20 bill, they don't hand it back to you, then you have that feeling of loss, that you just lost that $20, and this actually drives people to spend less. It has been found in a bunch of studies that you actually spend a significant amount less when you are paying with cash instead of paying with plastic, because you are not receiving the same thing you gave to the person. You are receiving less or nothing, and then it actually does feel like a transaction to you instead of just getting something. Next is that it sort of provides a reality check for people. So when you're paying with cash, when you look in your wallet and you have $40, that sort of sets into your mind, okay, I only have $40. Whereas with a credit card, you have that limit. You have that $2,000, that $3,000 limit. And that isn't as real because you can spend up to that $3,000 even if you don't have $3,000. If I have $0 in my bank, and I have a $3,000 limit credit card, I can spend $3,000 and I don't have $3,000. So I'm able to spend money that I don't have with that credit card, and it's sort of not real money. It's sort of more like play money if you can spend money that you don't actually have. Next thing on the list is it's good for stretching your money. So this again sort of goes with the reality check, but if you look in your wallet, if you have $20 left, and you know you only have $20 to last you till the end of the week, you're gonna make that $20 last you to the end of the week if it's in cash. If you have a credit card, again, with say a $2,000 limit, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter, I can go eat out tonight, see a movie tomorrow, I have a credit card, I'll pay it off later, it doesn't matter. But if you have that cash, you are gonna be able to stretch that over a longer period of time, and you're gonna be able to find a way to live frugally until you make it to the next payday or are able to get more money. So it's really good to pay with cash if you are on a budget, if you're on a strict budget and you need to be stretching every last bit out of your dollars. All right, moving on. Next, we have no debt. So you can't go into debt if you're paying with cash. This is big. If you're paying with a credit card, you can go into debt. You can pay more than you actually have. If you're paying with cash and you only have $50, you can't spend more than $50 because you're out of money at that point. No one's going to take a little Post-it note written IOU at Target or at the grocery store. You need to actually have enough cash to be able to pay them. If you're paying with cash, they're not going to take your sticky note that says, I owe you $29 more. Here you go. I'll be back in a couple weeks. That's not how that works. All right, next we have splitting bills. So if you're going out to eat with friends, if you are doing anything that requires you to sort of just like pool your money together, it's a lot easier to do with cash than it is to do with a card. Speaking from experience as a server, it is so much more convenient when I just get a bunch of cash from a table and I don't get 18 credit cards and I have to try to remember who ordered exactly what and split all that up. It's just a lot easier if they just hand me cash and they can figure it out on their end because they all have cash. Lastly, we have no fees. So you're not going to be getting charged a monthly fee to have cash in your pocket. You're not going to be getting charged a minimum account fee if you don't have $300 in your wallet. That's not how that works. There is no fee paying for cash. There are ATM fees, which are possibly a result of paying in cash, but those are easily avoided, and those are definitely not necessary parts of paying in cash. So when you pay in cash, there are no fees that you need to pay. There is no interest. There is no monthly fees. There are no yearly fees. Cash is free to use. All right, those are the pros of cash. Let's move on to the cons of cash. All right, let's move on to the cons of cash. So it's not all sunshine and roses with cash. There are some downsides that we are going to have to look at as well as the upside. So let's start out with the first one is getting cash. So to get cash, you've got to go to an ATM, you've got to go to a bank, you have got to go somewhere because chances are you don't store all of your cash under your mattress. If you do, you probably shouldn't, but maybe that works for you. So whatever works, but you probably have to go somewhere to get your cash. You probably can't just pull all of your money out of your pockets. So getting cash is definitely a con, definitely an inconvenience there. All right, so next con is replacing cash. So say you get robbed, say you lose your cash, say you lose your wallet. If anything happens to your cash, there is no way to replace that as if there would be for like a credit card or a debit card. If you lose your card, you can like cancel it and you can get a new one and your money is not lost. But if you lose your cash, if something happens to your cash, it is gone. There is no getting it back. You can't call up your cash company, can't go to the bank and tell them you lost your $100. They're not going to do anything for you. There's nothing you can do if you lose your cash. Next is there's no incentives. There's no cash back. There's no frequent flyer miles. There's no, bonus points at your gas station for spending cash. To get incentives and stuff like that, you have to be using plastic to pay for stuff, so you're not going to be getting any of that from your cash. Next, there is no record. This is a big one. There's no record of your purchases if you use cash. Unless you keep all your receipts, which would be a good idea if you're paying with cash, but unless you're keeping all of your receipts, there is no digital record of everything you've bought, and this is really crucial if you're budgeting, which I really recommend you should be if you are a young person. If you're anyone who's trying to get a hold of their finances, get eventually to financial freedom, the first step is to budget. So if you're not getting this digital record of all your purchases, it's going to be a lot tougher for you to budget everything and to remember every single thing you spent money on that month and to be able to categorize all of this stuff into different categories of the things that you spend money on. So it's very tricky to budget if you're using only cash unless you keep all of your receipts and you're very diligent about knowing where every dollar is going. All right, next one is online purchases. So if you're using cash, there's not a lot of times we're going to be able to buy stuff online. You're not going to be able to buy stuff off of Amazon. You're not going to be able to buy really anything online unless you go out and you go to Walgreens or whatever and you get yourself some Amazon gift cards or buy like a Visa prepaid card or stuff like that. But that's not part of this video because we're talking about cash. So if you're just using cash, you're not going to be able to buy stuff online, which is pretty big because e-commerce is really a huge part of how people buy stuff right now. So if you're not able to buy stuff online, it's going to be pretty tricky for you to buy a lot of the stuff that you need, and it's really very convenient to buy stuff online. So that is something that you're going to be missing out on if you only use cash. Next, you are not able to build credit with cash. This is another big one. You can't get incentives, you can't get cash back, and you also cannot be building credit with cash, which is crucial to be doing at a young age if you want to someday get a house, get a nice car, start a business. All of these things are going to require credit in some way or another, so it's generally a very good idea to start building credit at an early age, and using cash is not a way to do this. Lastly, we've got reservations. So this one isn't that big, but if you are paying in only cash, you're generally not gonna be able to make reservations for, I don't know, like rental cars, hotels, stuff like that. If you don't have a credit card, if you don't have some way to pay them besides cash, they're not gonna allow you to make reservations. So that is another big reason why cash is not always the best thing to use. So generally, we've got our pros, we've got our cons, but my bottom line is when you're on a tight budget, cash can be a very useful tool for you to be able to control your money, know where it's going, and if you are very diligent about keeping track of where you are spending money, it can be very useful to use cash when on a budget. However, it does lack some of the benefits of other means of paying for things like credit cards, such as getting those incentives, building credit, and getting a keeping track of all your purchases very easily online. But it is a very accessible way to pay for stuff. Anybody can use cash, and generally it does cause you to spend less because you do have that emotional connection when you're actually exchanging your dollars for something else. So in general, I think it does have its pros and cons, and that is the application that I think it is most suited for. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video, please do leave a like, please subscribe, leave me a comment below saying what you think of cash. Do you pay with cash frequently? Is cash the only way you pay for things? Or what is your favorite way to pay for things? Thank you guys very much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. If this video did help you guys out in any way or clear anything up for you, please share it with a friend. And I will see you guys tomorrow, and until next time.